Welcome back to Frontline Eurosports Online. Your host Nate Jennings has an awesome delivery today because this is a special delivery to Phil, one of our YouTube subscribers that found us and came up from South Georgia to take ownership of this new beautiful K16GT. You know the routine.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. Thanks for taking the time to come all the way up and continue working with BMW as well, as this is your second BMW machine that I know of.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to do our conventional walk around of the motorcycle on this beautiful premium package, white K16 GT. We know the routine.
I do.
We start at the front, we work our way around, we get into the instrumentation and handlebars last. So we run this bad boy at a 42 tire pressure. That's 42 in the front, 42 in the rear. Easy to check with our beautiful 90-degree valve stems that are giving us accessibility, but we also have a tire pressure monitoring system that's going to show us that. Typically that's within about a 2-pound tolerance.
I'm going to use this one to...
Pull the wheels inside, you can see our dual lever suspension, which is very much like our tele lever. It's separating our brakes and suspension, reducing brake dive 80%. We have our twin rotors and calipers led by steel-braided brake lines. We have our rotors that are cross-drilled and floating for us right here. Hidden in the back of this motorcycle is our cooling system, our radiator for the motorcycle. And up top side, we have an oil cooler hidden between the lower fan and headlight assembly, which that's our housing for our beautiful LED lights for low beam, conventional bulbs for our high beam, and in the center is our Xenon adaptive headlight that comes right out of the M3. Awesome how they can take information and technology directly from the automotive department and transfer it into the motorcycle world. As we're coming back, we can see our air intakes that go up into our air box located underneath the cowling and our air conditioning for the motorcycle. So when you get back down in Georgia and it's nice and hot and steamy, we need to direct some air in towards ourselves. We flip these puppies out and channel it towards us because BMW does such intensive wind tunnel testing to make sure that we're on such a clean pocket of air that we can actually get stagnant and need something rushing through our vented body work or body gear. Our beautiful K16 GT embellishment on the side, and our inline 6-cylinder. It's slammed down at a 55-degree lean angle, so it's keeping the center of gravity extremely low with this 160 horsepower motorcycle, 128 foot-pounds of torque. We've got our awesome sport transmission with a semi-slipper clutch that's going to give you the drive to the rear wheel and a lot of performance. It's not going to be your big, hunky, touring motorcycle. It's your sport bike hidden under tons of comfort and convenience. We've already outfitted you with what we find a very necessary part on a BMW K16. That's our engine protection. It's going to give us an opportunity to put some highway pegs on there and move ourselves around when we get out on those long iron butt rides. So slip our feet out, plus it protects our engine. It is exposed quite a bit, so if you did have a tip over, you would be scratching your cylinder, valve cover, cylinder head, and other side cover components that can be for an expensive repair, pulling the engine out to replace a 6-cylinder head. As we move on back, we can look at the very bottom and you'll see a water line coming back to our water pump in the back, and then we start getting to serviceability parts. Our oil fill, oil check, located here on the right-hand side of the motorcycle, which on this particular machine, this was a demonstrator that we have already gone past the 600-mile first service requirement, so we did the first service for you. And she's all fresh with her BMW chemicals in it right now. Think of BMW, she's got performance. We got lean angle, man. You're coming off an S1000XR, so you're used to ripping through the twisties. We're still going to have awesome lean angle with collapsible pegs and feeler gauges down at the bottom. Our brake pedal assembly right here that's hiding our master cylinder behind the heel guard, which is a one-piece unit leading to our pillion pegs, and our rear formed line going up to our ABS module. If you stick your hand deep underneath here, you're going to find accessory sockets for additional power sources that we might want to utilize, and some information on the motorcycle. The one rubber line we're having our brake system leading to our overflow. Our overflow is giving us fluid level and fluid clarity on that reservoir for the rear brake master cylinder. We have the 6th theme, and this is something a lot of people don't know on the BMW, like in the G650GS, twin exhaust for aesthetic balance and performance balance, but it's only one of the tips that work. We have a 6-cylinder, we have 6 outlets in the back, but only one of them actually is functional. So stick your finger in the center one and keep going, and stick it at the top and the bottom. is nothing but a capped off portion. So if you're in the back and you see one of them not letting anything out, it's all right. It's designed that way through BMW. We have our pannier system, which is a removable element. That is something that we can take our ignition key, slip into our lock cylinder here, twist it to the release side, clockwise. Your handle pops up, pulls out nice and quick. Yes, we are not going to open them and play with all of his goodies because Phil has already went into the machine and loaded all his goodies up, so when we take this thing out the front door and give it a start, he can take it right off onto the interstate or whatever his desired route home to Georgia is going to be. But the push of that button will release our handle and we can open our panniers if we desire to. Slide that back down and you're back into the locked position. Bringing us to the back of the motorcycle where we're going to have our LED lights for our brake and running light assembly and our turn signals. So then we get into the rear tire, which we mentioned earlier, our tire pressure. So now it's quiz time. You know what your front tire pressure is, Phil? It is?
I forgot.
42. 42. And our rear is?
I forgot.
42.
42 and 42. All right.
But
that I may be able to remember.
We'll do a follow-up quiz later. We'll get it, man. 42, 42. So it's a little different. That's why people have a hard time remembering it. It's not your conventional 36, 42.
Right.
And give us a tap on the keyless ride since the prob is in an area that we can utilize. And our turn signals.
Awesome.
Beautiful, bright, easy to recognize. There are additional things we can do. If we added a top box that have additional lighting, you can do in the top of the top box. We have back off systems that we can throw in there if we wanted to. Just be cautious how you wire things in. Prefer to go to a BMW master level technician so we don't have any electrical issues working with the CAN bus system.
Yes, sir.
So we come around to the left side of the motorcycle, and that brings us to our paralever. You're converting from a chain drive assembly to a shaft drive assembly. You're not going to feel that much degrade in performance because of the beautiful paralever performance characteristics with the torsion bar being a hinged element. And this is going to keep the bike's wheelbase more consistent in the rear of the motorcycle and give us a squat utilizing suspension rather than a cantilevering action that you get with the old straight direct shaft drive assemblies. We're going to have our steel braided brake lines going to our rear brake assembly and an extra line that rolls with that's picking up speed sensor information for our traction control and anti-lock brake system. We also have loading recommendations, so if we ever forget our tire pressure, they show you single with gear, 2 up, 42, 42, 42. Front, rear is 42, 42, 42, recommended across the board for this machine. We do have some customers that like a different tire pressure, maybe potentially go down to 40 pounds or so in the front, but I like 42, 42. And the bike is sensitive to tire pressure. You will feel a difference if you're 42, or all the way at 38 or something to that nature. This is part of our electronic suspension adjustment. So we have 3 levels of preload with 3 levels of damping we can attenuate through on each one of those preload settings. Single gear, 2 up riding. Each one of those has soft, oval, and hard damping values. And as we go through our mode selection, they're attenuated even more finitely to find the perfect setting that BMW recommends for that riding condition. Our frame assembly, which is honestly very minuscule for a 704-pound motorcycle. It is there, all covered with plastic with a suspended motor. We have our 6-speed transmission, 1 down, 5 up, with our spin-on filter located behind that. There is linkage, so we can make adjustments to the pedal height to find that perfect setting for Phil. As we slide our side stand down, we're going to notice that we have an extra assembly on the front of that, which is our side stand safety switch, killing the engine if we try to take off in first or second gear. Our center stand has nothing of that nature there. We can sit up on the center stand and rev it, put it in gear, whatever we need to do. Just don't rock it back unless you're ready to go. So, now we're going to get into the auxiliary lights that come factory out of 2016, our correlating engine protection, and some factory components that do put this scuff pad on the left side of the engine for us. This trim right here, it does move. It is rubber mounted. Behind it is a rubber hose, so don't worry about that. That is designed that way. It's just protecting aesthetically a piece of rubber hose. We have pockets. Those pockets are where we have our position for our 380. We've got our keys in there right now for us, just to keep them safe for you. And that is something that is now in range of the motorcycle, so we can still, like we just did, turn it on, turn it off, and use our central locking system to lock our panniers. Now we can't get into that pocket. Oh my God, I locked my key in. Negative. We can open that puppy up like so. So we've done everything but the seat have some stuff on the back seat, which is okay because the back seat doesn't just pop off, it's the front saddle first. So if we pop this saddle up, we want to be cautious. We are working with heated elements. We have a connection cable right here. It's the easiest to reach this portion right here and disconnect it from the bottom part of the motorcycle. Now we can take our seat all the way off if we elected to. And our storage component for our owner's manual with a waterproof provided bag from BMW. We have an adjustable saddle height. We can change our saddle height simply by taking this component and switching it over to a higher element like so. Now my seat in the front is elevated, forcing it up and back into a higher notch in the rear of the saddle, giving a full elevation of the motorcycle. I'm going to put us back in a low position so we can acclimate to this motorcycle. We have our toolkit. Our toolkit is going to be a simple flat screwdriver and a star bit with a handle that we can reverse either way we choose to. And we are then accessing our battery area. To remove the rear seat, we utilize that tool to remove these two bolts, slowly pulling it off, disconnecting the power cable for the rear saddle.
Gotcha.
We just got to remember when we're putting this stuff back together. Oh, and that's cool too that I can show you while this is off. We can remove some trim panels and throw a whole new seat assembly on like the K16GTL saddle. Common upgrade for some people that like the GT stance of the foot pegs and bars but need a little wider, lower saddle to get themselves comfortable on the motorcycle. So we quickly connect it back right here. Make sure our cables aren't bound up. Locked back on securely, and take our key back to our desired location. We'll put it in that pocket for now. So at this point in time, we're going to start talking about our handlebars and controls and then our instrumentation. This is a keyless ride system, so we can tap that button or we utilize it with a constant hold. Steering column lock, something a lot of people don't catch. One quick burst releases that back, and now we're back into operation mode. Ride-by-wire twist throttle. Front brake assembly that is adjustable. We do still have to, on this model, pull it out and make some twists, and it's a simple screw it in, screw it out for distance on the front brake. Same thing on the clutch side. Central locking button, as we can hear now, locking and securing all of our pockets. Our mode selection for our three modes, rain, road, and dynamic. Right now, I would say acclimate to the motorcycle in road mode. It's going to give you safe riding conditions for ABS traction control and a little bit slower throttle response, but you shouldn't have a problem. Ride a dynamic model S1000XR. Yep. You're used to a fast throttle and a fast revving inline from BMW. Our fuel is accessible with our 7-gallon fuel tank here. Keyless. Please do what I just did. Hold up on the tab, then push down. Don't just slam it down and tap on it per BMW's request. We have a hydraulic clutch assembly for this motorcycle. Right behind that, our auxiliary lights, our electronic windscreen, cruise control, hazard lights, and our high beam is a trigger switch up top. Same controls on the XR.
Right.
Intermittently flash, constant high beam, low beam. Turn signals, pushing in for cancellation, horn on the bottom. Multi-function controller, menu selection, triangle at the top. That's giving us a favorites menu. I'll show you how to set that in a little bit. Next thing we're going to be able to access is our navigation system. When we turn this bike on and our windscreen has the power to it, we can bring it up, push our button. But right now is a cool time to demonstrate how I've now secured my navigation system in there. We have the Nav 6s that just came out from BMW. We slap that in, pull that cover plate out, which has the 6 theme on there as well to embellish it. And slap it in there, so every time we secure the bike, the windscreen comes down to a locking position, keeping our secure GPS. So now it's your turn, buddy. You can either mount the bike or stay on the right side if you want while we go through the instrumentation. First, we're going to give her a little tap. It cues up our beautiful electronics with our speedometer, tachometer. You can see a lot of illumination of our little dummy lights on the top, or information lights, so I don't offend anybody. We have our fuel meter over here with an absolute full tank of gas, our temperature gauge, our gear indicator. So we have a neutral, burst and all that happy jazz showing. We have our road mode selection selected right now for you, and we can modulate that on the fly. Right. So if you give me a burst of that button, we're going to be opening the menu for that. Bam, now we can slap it over to dynamic with another burst. We can slap it to rain mode and then back into road mode. We can do this on the fly with a K16GT.
Okay.
We just activate the menu, select the menu selection we want, close the throttle, pull in the clutch. I like to do that. Pull the clutch in, close the throttle, let it coast for about 3 seconds. It'll flip over and stay solid at the top like that. And now you've made the next move to the next selection of mode. Integration of run cycle and start button for us. Remember, you don't have to pull the clutch in on a BMW, so right now with the instrumentation on, if I hit that, we're starting this beautiful 6-cylinder up. Which is one of my favorite parts, the tone of the 6-cylinder. Oh, it's beautiful. We have all our auxiliary lights over here. We have our electronic windscreen manipulation, which is infinitely adjustable between a high and low position, which is awesome. Oh, that's perfect for me. Nope, that's where I need to be. You can find that happy zone for yourself. We're going to put it all the way up and demonstrate to our viewers how high the K16GT goes, and it still has a nice cutout, so you're never really looking through the screen, but you have this extremely calm pocket of air, clean from wind and any kind of moisture that you experience. Unless you stretch your legs out and put your toes down, you can stay dry in a torrential downpour. I've done it all the way from Nate Kern's place down in Atlanta back up until I stopped in Charlotte traffic. So the next thing we have is our menu selection. I'm going to tap the menu. Well, let's go to audio while it's up right now. You see how it's on auxiliary? Let's get to our source for radio. Multifunction controller, if you roll that up on the S1000XR, all that did was our navigation system. Now it's doing tons of stuff for us. So keep bringing that up. You're going to see your audio changing.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, so you're bringing up audio. We can bring it back down. And we can rotate with a push of the thumb. That is going to seek to the next channel. Metal roof, not a lot of channels picking up in here, but we get some on the FM, baby. So we can come back now and say I wanted to go back to 106.1, the last reception channel I had, and it's going to go backwards. We're picking up more stations. Perfect. But you can see how easy it is to work that.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn the audio down just a smidgen. We have our source. We go from FM to USB. I'll show you that in the right pocket, to satellite, to auxiliary plug. I'll show you that in the right pocket, back to our FM. We have FM manual as in our memory stations on the mode button below that, and our memory button below that. So we're going to go past our audio system. Let's mute it. You don't want to turn it off. You just want to hit the on button one time for me, Phil. And we see a line through the speakers, that meaning we muted the music. We can also do a solid burst and hold and turn that completely off, which then what we got now, we got a speedometer up for ourselves. So instead of reading these analog numbers, we go to a digital speedometer. Hit the menu button for me again, sir. Now we're sitting in a position where we can go all the way to the top with our multifunction controller. Consumption average, that's displaying 40.9 miles per gallon on the display on the right hand side. We can go to instantaneous with one switch down.
No big rush.
Yes, now you saw it go back up one time. See how you have an arrow over there? You do a constant hold, give me a constant push with your thumb, and that's going to zero out that for you. Anytime you see an arrow, you can go. If there's no arrow, it defaults back to the first menu selection, which is audio. So now, scroll down to instantaneous fuel economy. It's going to be blanked out because the bike's not running. Next is range on fuel tank. We've got 267 miles showing with our full tank and the way it's been ridden, even though we just erased some of the information. We scroll down and we get to our average speed, our ambient air temperature, our tire pressure, my favorite. Everybody knows that because it completes my little motorcycle in the picture. Now I've got my helmet showing my suspension settings, my bike, and my wheels. Once we rotate 7 feet, 7 miles an hour, you're going to see that 42, 42, or it could be 40, 40, it could be 44, 44 within a 2-pound tolerance. Typically, in the last few years, I've seen it a pound or two lower rather than higher. Next, we're going to scroll down and see our chronometer, then travel times, our date, our time, our electric voltage, I'm sorry, yeah, you got it. Keep on rolling down. Our electric voltage, our oil, or we turn that display all the way off. So let's roll back up and get something that we prefer. What is your personal preference? Range on tank, tire pressure?
I actually like where it's showing how fast you're going.
Well, we can go back to that because that's staying on the side here. So remember, there's no arrow going back. So I hit back, boom.
There we go.
Now my audio's off, so my speedometer is up. But now we got to go through that menu selection again. So let's tap the menu, board. Tap it one more time. Trip information. So trip 1, trip 2, trip auto resets. When we go into electronic suspension, this is more important than trip meters to me, right? So we got single up. We're showing a single helmet right there. We and roll down one fill, single with luggage, roll down one, two up riding. We're in a position we might want to switch it over to single with gear. We're going to do that once we go outside and start the bike for everybody.
Okay.
But right now it won't make that change due to the fact that we are not running and all the pumps aren't on and all that happy jazz. But I got an arrow up, man. There must be something else hidden in this menu, shouldn't there? Damping values. Now this is something we can change on the fly. The other preload settings we have to stop and be in neutral to do. Comfort, normal, and sport. And that's going to be what you're in on the top of the motorcycle on the far right side of the board computer. We're going to probably have you slip over to comfort once you get out and get onto the interstate, so you have that smooth BMW K16 ride all the way back down to South Georgia. But this isn't a very important menu, so what if I wanted to make this my favorite menu? I wanted to not hit menu and menu and menu to get here. I want to make it where that's my preference. So I start with speed and I'm saying, hey man, this is really too soft for me. I want a little bit more feedback. Okay. Triangle. Now I'm going right to my favorite menus, which is our ESA menu. So now we skipped into halfway through the board. We're going to tip the menu button one more time. That gets us to our heated handlebars, 5-position adjustable. Rotate it up, gives you a visual indicator up on the bike. Look at that. Why am I toasting, man? Well, you got your heated grips on. Why is my water on my back seat boiling hot? I accidentally had the seat on. So let's rotate that down and reduce the usage. We don't need that on a hot day like today. As you can see, we were sweaty. And let's get to our heated saddles. So we just demonstrated taking off a second ago. So one more menu tap. Let's go back to favorites and boom, see how I can quickly get to the middle of the board. And then we go to our heat seat. Seat heat. Just like so kicking in. And rotate up and down, we can see that. One more menu selection for us, sir. That's going to take us into our audio. This can I can go through briefly. There's an audio manual that's going to come with the motorcycle and get really intense. So let's go over, because I'd like to show you one thing. This is the only menu you've seen so far with a back arrow, because we have so many selections to go into. So we have loudspeakers on and off. That's just if we want to turn it to headsets rather than having it with our speakers externally. We rotate the sound, and the sound is going to be obviously bass and trebles. Our tuner, we can turn our RDS off or not. That's telling us information about the song. We scroll down into our Bluetooth settings and Sirius radio. Sirius and then PT, our Bluetooth pairing. We can go over that once we have the equipment to hook up to that. But let's back it out one. Your first time of going back and not going all the way to the main menu. User, enter user. We're going to have some personal preferences like language, time format, brightness of the screen, startup logos, and happy jazz of that nature. We'll back out and go down to vehicle. That's going to give us our alarm system. It's also going to give us our headlight. Go in there and check this out. Headlight. What about a headlight? Well, I've got that amazing Xenon adaptive headlight that goes around corners for me, working for me up front. I'm enjoying my K16 so much, I want to join some of my friends from across the pond where they drive on the other side of the road. So if you go into that menu selection, you're going to see where it's going to say left traffic, right traffic, and give you the option if you're driving here, or in the UK, or South Africa, wherever they're driving on the wrong side of the road, as we say. So we're going to back that back out. And back out one more time, going down to our last two options that you can play with, which is time and date. Setting our time, setting our date. And I don't want you to play with dynamic traction control unless you're ready to do some wheelies and burnouts. Because that'll allow you to turn your traction control off. Right. So I said that one's not even one to play with. Okay. So what's up, Justin? So now we're going to go all the way back and we can start back to our speedometer, and we've gone through this motorcycle in its entirety. Do you have any questions for me on your amazing new K16 GT?
No. I think I'm going to have to study that manual quite a bit.
Or
a lot of stuff.
You can call me. And how did you find us?
I found you through your YouTube vlogs that you were doing.
So that is another source that we can always go back and just watch yourself on your personal demonstration. So I really appreciate you coming all the way up here from Georgia and finding us on YouTube and letting us utilize you as the perfect example of how effective our social media is here at Frontline Eurosports and sharing the love of the Frontline family. Kick her down for a hot second. I'm going to open up the doors, push it out, and let you start your brand new K16 GT for the first time you're on. All right, let's do it. Woo! all yours. Phil, you want to jump on and give a little start and let everybody hear an amazing 6-cylinder tone from the BMW K16 GT series. Simple push of the button and the same controls as the XR. All right. Yeah. Like a Ferrari, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That gets you excited, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, man. So before you take off, I'm going to take one cool picture of you in front of the store. But thank you for watching some Frontline Eurosports. We can make you just as happy as Phil coming up Georgia to take ownership of our amazing K16 GT. Have a good day, guys.